Hi everyone, and welcome to Squirrel Pie Productions, my podcast about knitting, spinning, and sewing. My name is Tommy, and you can find me on Ravelry and Instagram as Dynamite Trujillo. Welcome to episode 52 of my podcast. Thank you so much for being here. Welcome to any new viewers, and a big welcome back to any returning viewers. I love that you're here. Thank you so much for joining me. Today is a really freaking cold Friday in March here on the Northern California coast where I'm coming to you from. It is really, really cold, and I am really, really cold. So I'm trying to keep warm with all the wool and some hot beverages and some Pusheen love. So yeah, let's go for it. We have a Ravelry group for this podcast that you should totally go check out and join if you have not yet. It is where you'll find the show notes for this episode and all previous episodes. It's where you'll find giveaway stuff and knit along stuff and all kinds of fun stuff. So check it out if you haven't yet. I would love to see you there and join in the conversation with us. So we do have a couple of knit alongs. One that is in progress right now. It is the Kid Along. And that's where you can knit anything for a baby or a kid at all. Actually, not just knit, make anything. Sewing, crocheting, all the other crafting. Anything for a kid is welcome in this knit along. And that is running right now. There's a chatter thread and an FO thread in the Ravelry group. And I have decided it is going to run until the end of April. So you have a couple of months to get going on that. Anything big or small is welcome, and there are rules in the threads in the group, so if you're interested, check it out. And there is a knit along that we did, which was the patterned sock knit along that has ended. I've drawn prizes, so I'm going to tell you who won now for the patterned sock knit along. Thank you so much to everybody who participated in that knit along. It was so much fun, even though I did not finish. I've been talking about it for a few weeks, how I have not picked up my project for the pattern sock cal, and I never did, you guys. I never went back to it. I totally lost steam on it. I feel like I might rip it out and make something else with the yarn. I might finish them, I don't know, but I kind of doubt it. I think I'm gonna rip them out. Oh well, that's okay. Did you not finish either? Because I know I saw some people at the end in the chatter thread saying, I don't know if I'm going to finish. Don't feel bad. I didn't finish either. But there were a ton of you who did finish, and there was such a fantastic chatter thread and FO thread for this knit along. It was great. So thank you so much to everybody who worked on stuff and who finished stuff. And I have 3 prizes to give away. To randomly drawn people from the FO thread. So I'm going to tell you who won now. The first prize I'm going to be giving away is a skein of Moonstone Dye Works, which is my hand-dyed yarn company. And here it is. This is my Fireflies Fluoresce colorway, which is a mint green with pink and kind of olivey speckles. And this is on my BFL sock base. So the winner of this skein is post number 139, who was La Jolla Girl, who is Nancy. So thank you so much, Nancy, for participating and for finishing beautiful socks. You have won the skein of Moonstone Dye Works. So contact me on Ravelry. Tell me your full name and mailing address, and I will get the skein out to you. Congratulations. The next prize was sent to me from Mint Rain Yarns. I actually just got it in the mail yesterday, and I was so excited about it. So this is, I've got this giant shawl on, which I'll talk about in a minute, and it's kind of getting in the way of everything. But this is Mint Rain Yarns, and this is a gorgeous, gorgeous skein. Another mint green skein. We're trying to get into spring here, aren't we? With these navy blue speckles. It's really, really gorgeous. And I feel like the colorway is Mint Rain. I'm pretty sure that's the colorway. So this is Mint Rain Yarns in the Mint Rain colorway, and this is on her twist sock, which is 80% superwash merino. 20% nylon. So the winner of this skein is post number 172, who is Krabby Tabby, who is Tabitha. Tabitha, thank you so much for participating, Tabitha, and congratulations, you have won this skein of Mint Rain yarns and these beautiful mini skeins that she also sent along for you. So again, message me on Ravelry, tell me your full name and mailing address, and I will get these beauties out to you. Last but not least, I have a pattern to give away. This is the Spring Crocus Socks by Katrine Watts Thorson. She so kindly donated a copy of her pattern to me and a copy to give away on the podcast. So I thought this would be perfect for that. Why not knit another pair of patterned socks with your winnings? And the winner of that is post number 130, who is DG White, who is Denise. Congratulations, Denise. You don't have to do anything. You can just kick back and relax because I am going to message Katrine and have her send you a copy of that pattern. So congratulations, and congratulations to everybody who won and to everybody who participated. Thank you so much. You guys freaking killed it with this knit along. I cannot believe how many of you finished patterned socks because I didn't finish any. So great job. It was such a fun knit along, and yeah, that's it for that. Patterned sock knit along completed. Okay, I also wanted to show you, I got another skein of Mint Rain yarns that she sent for me to try, and I'm really excited to use it, and I want to show you, and I also want to tell you about a coupon code that she gave to us. So this skein is the one that she sent for me, and I'm really excited about it. It is self-striping in pinks and purples, and the colorway of this one is called Rose Tyler. Isn't it gorgeous? You may or may not know that I am a sucker for pinks and purples, and I love self-striping. I'm really excited about this. So the coupon code that she gave to you guys is code SquirrelPie10. And that's going to take 10% off of your order through the month of March. So check out her website. I will link to it in the show notes. And take advantage, 10% off. That's pretty good. Can't wait. Okay. That is it for knit-alongs and prizes. I'm so excited to give away prizes, you guys. I cannot wait to send those off to you. Okay, so one last announcement-y thing I wanted to tell you about. Sandra Marie Dooley is a pattern designer. You can find her on Ravelry, and she recently released the Starfall shawl, and she designed that pattern in Moonstone Dye Works yarns, which I was so excited about. As far as I know, that's the first time someone's designed a pattern in my yarn, so I was just kind of floored and really excited. So I wanted to tell you guys about it. It's a really beautiful shawl. It's called the Starfall, and it's a half pie, like full-on lace shawl. It's gorgeous. She designed it in my merino singles base in the Crescent Moon colorway. She used 2 skeins, and it's just absolutely beautiful. So I wanted to tell you guys about it. If you like lace shawls, it's a gorgeous design. So check that out. I will link that as well in the show notes. And I don't know for sure. She doesn't mention it on the pattern page, but I wonder if she named this shawl after A Court of Thorns and Roses, because there is something in that book called Starfall, and I'm just gonna go ahead and believe that that's true for me, because I think it's really cool. So yeah, go on over to Ravelry and check that out. It's a really, really beautiful pattern. And if I do say so myself, I think it looks pretty good in Crescent Moon. Thank you for designing that shawl, because it's lovely. Okay, so on to knitting stuff. I will tell you what I'm wearing. And I am wearing all the wool today because, like I said, I am so cold and it's keeping me warm. So this shawl is the Marled Magic shawl, which is a pattern by Stephen West. It is the biggest, most beautiful and badass shawl that I have ever knit, I think, and I love it, and it's so warm. The Marled Magic is a big giant shawl with a bunch of different stitch patterns. Really crazy, unique construction, use a ton of different yarns, and I guess I will show it to you even though I have to take it off. I'm cold. Is this the back? This is the front. So this is a pretty good glimpse of my Marled Magic shawl. I knit this, I don't know, I think late last year. There are tassels on it, which are absolutely lovely. I used a bunch of different yarn in this. And I love it. And the sweater that I'm wearing is the Seacoast Pullover, which is a pattern by Joji Locatelli. And I love it. So that's what I'm wearing today. You can find the project page for both of these projects on my Ravelry project pages. Yeah. Okay. I run out of breath easily right now because I am freaking cold. I'm so cold. We heat our home with wood heat, and it's a really luxurious day if we light a fire during the daytime. It's a nighttime thing around here. And I'm not usually home, during the day. During the week I'm at work, so it doesn't matter if my house is freezing in the day, but it is cold right now. I do have gas wall heaters, which I kind of despise, but I got them going right now because it's so cold. Okay, that's enough about the weather. I usually don't like talking about the weather. I think it's boring, but apparently I can't help it right now. Okay, so on to my FOs. I do have one finished object, and it is my We Envelope, which is a pullover pattern by Isolde Teague. It is a baby sweater, and I knit this for my baby, which is due in June. No, it's not. It's due in July. And this is the first baby sweater that I have knit for him or her, and I love it. This was so much fun to knit. So the yarn I used for this was Frog Tree Petaboo, which is a bamboo and superwash merino blend, I believe. And it's a sport weight yarn. I mentioned this in the last episode. I don't love this yarn. It's really deep scrap stash, and I just finally broke it into it for this project. And I used up pretty much exactly how much I had left. I realized this as I was knitting it. I didn't weigh how much I had in my just scrap cake, and I didn't check the pattern to see how much yarn it even called for. I just started it with what I had, and I miraculously did not run out of yarn. Do I have it somewhere? Oh, it's right here. I had this much left when I was done, which is almost nothing, which is awesome. And I did knit it to the length that it called for in the pattern, so I was pretty stoked about that. So this is the We Envelope by Isolde Teague. It was a really fun knit. It's got this garter stitch yoke and this envelope neckline. It does call for buttons too on each side right here, which I have not put in yet. But it was a little bit of a complicated pattern. Thank goodness for the tutorial on her website, like I talked about last week. It saved my butt twice in this pattern. So when you do one side of the envelope yoke, it's really confusing, but her tutorial makes it super clear. And then you knit across and you construct the other part, which is different because you're constructing it from the other way. And that part I did, even with the tutorial, mess up on, and I did it backwards. But I noticed it right away because it's really easy to tell. And I ripped it out, redid it just the other way, and it worked out fine. So this isn't the least confusing pattern in the entire world, but it is really fun. And if you can kind of work out the right way to do it based on the tutorial, which like I've said is super, super helpful, it's a great, great pattern to knit. I really loved it. It's got, like I said, this garter yoke, these little stockinette sleeves, garter cuffs, and then it's just got a stockinette body that's just straight down, then a garter cuff on the bottom. And you do pick up stitches to start the body from the yoke here. She has you pick up stitches purlwise to create this exposed seam. I, for some reason, decided I didn't want to do that and that I just wanted to pick up those stitches knitwise to make it invisible. And of course, I don't listen to Isolde and what she says to do in the pattern, and I did it and I was like, oh, that looks stupid. So I ripped it out and redid it the way she said to do it, and it looked great. So I tried to go rogue, but it did not work. And then the other thing with this pattern is one of these sleeves is longer than the other one. You can't really tell which, but I think I knit the first one too short on accident. Possibly from what I can tell, I just didn't do however many rounds in a repeat you're supposed to do. Maybe I did, I don't know what I did, but the sleeve was shorter than the second sleeve, which I know positively I did correctly because I kept really good track. So I just ended up ripping out some rounds on the second sleeve to make it shorter to almost match the first sleeve, but for whatever reason, I was like, I don't need it to match exactly. It can be a little longer, so one sleeve's a little bit longer, but it's okay, whatever. For a baby, they're not gonna care. So I do really, really like this. I have to pick out some buttons, which I will do. I've got a button jar full of old buttons that I got from a thrift store a long time ago. And it mostly serves my button needs. Every time I need buttons, I go in there. A lot of times there's duplicates, there's matches to buttons, so hopefully I can find 4 that are relatively similar to use on this. And it'll take really tiny buttons because the buttonholes on this thing are pretty super small. So it's got an I-cord edging along here, which is really, really nice. I just used a standard bind off for the sleeves and for the bottom hem. And the type that I do, I learned from a Very Pink Knits tutorial. It's where you knit 2 and then knit through the back loop of those 2 stitches to create 1 stitch. So you're lessening your stitch count every time. That's how I generally bind things off unless I decide to do some other more specific bind off. So that's what I did here, and I am so excited about this. It's the first, hopefully, of many baby garments that I will be knitting for my kid, this is my first entry into the Kid Along, which is the knit along that I'm running right now, so that's really exciting. Yeah. So that's it for that. I knit the smallest size, which is, I don't know, newborn maybe, or 3 months. I don't remember. I knit the smallest size, whatever that is. And I was really, really happy to use up the rest of this yarn. It did bleed like crazy when I blocked it. I soaked it in wool wash in warm water, and it lost a lot of color. I mean, no, I shouldn't say it lost a lot of color because it looks exactly the same, the garment itself, but the water was so blue when I pulled it out. Hopefully my baby doesn't turn blue when he or she wears it. Probably not. That won't happen. That would be funny though. Anyway, that is my wee envelope, which I love, and I fully intend to cast on a second baby sweater right away. I have a bunch in my queue, which if you're interested to see what baby knits I am knitting for myself or plan on knitting or want to knit, I have a bundle on Ravelry in my favorites. It's called something like Baby Knits, so you can check that out if you're interested to see all of the baby knit patterns that I like and want to knit. And yeah, so that was super exciting and super fun. I knit most of this in the car on the way down to Stitches West, which is an event that I attended last weekend, which I will talk about later. It was so much fun. Okay, so on to my works in progress. The first thing that I'm going to show you is living in my Sugar Tots project bag. And it's a pair of socks that I cast on while going to Stitches West. And I decided I did need a pair of vanilla socks to work on while I was traveling and at the event. So I cast on in my ball of nomadic yarns. And this is the Dobby is a Free Elf colorway in the Twisty Sock base, which is 80/20 superwash merino and nylon. And I love it. So I showed this as a pretty recent acquisition. I purchased this from Ashley and I love it. It's teal and hot pink and brown and gray, which are all my favorite colors. Here is what I have on these puppies so far. And isn't that freaking gorgeous, you guys? I love this self-striping yarn so much. So I, in current classic Tommy fashion, am knitting a pair of knee-highs because I am obsessed with knee-highs. I want all my socks to be knee-high socks now. My last 2 pair of socks were knee-highs, and I need to keep the tradition alive. So I cast on, with the German Twisted cast on, 64 stitches for the cuff. I did a 2x2 rib, and on a size 1 needle. And now I'm just doing stockinette. This is a vanilla sock. And right around here, I decreased to 56 stitches, which is my standard sock size, and I'll be doing that for the rest of the way. And I am knitting these on my ChiaoGoo Twist interchangeable mini set. And I'm knitting these on Magic Loop, which is my absolute preferred sock method. I love it. And I mean, can we just look at how amazing this yarn is? It's so pretty. It has been so long since I've knit a pair of self-striping socks, and I'm so in love with it. I love this kind of self-striping too, where it's got these fat stripes and then also these skinny stripes. And I also really love that the stripes themselves are not solid. They're more of a tonal. I'm just so in love. This is my first time knitting with nomadic yarns, and I am in love with it. They're just gorgeous. They're just so my colors, like so completely my colors. So I am really excited about these. This is the first one, and they're just so much fun. I'm having so much fun with these. And from what I already knew about myself and from what I've really learned about myself from the Pattern Sock Cal is that I'm a vanilla girl, you guys. I like patterned socks. I like having them, I like wearing them. A lot of times I really like the way they fit. But I just want to knit vanilla socks. That's all I want to do. So I gotta give in. I gotta just knit vanilla socks. And I just can't stop looking at this. It's so pretty. So Dobby is a Free Elf. That is a Harry Potter reference, of course. I do love knitting a good Harry Potter inspired knit, because who doesn't? Because Harry Potter's awesome, right? Am I right? So that is my pair of socks. This week, I hopefully am back on the sock train. I've been a little lukewarm about socks lately, but I think this is going to get me back on it pretty good. So my next work in progress, I just cast on really recently. It's a tiny wee little cuff so far. And this is a test knit that I am working on for Caitlin of the Wool Jewel podcast. And she designed a pair of leg warmers. She showed them off on her podcast when she very first knit them, which I think was before Christmas. And I fell in love with them. And I really, really, really was hoping she was going to write up the pattern. And she did. And I am test knitting them. And I couldn't be more excited. I love leg warmers. I'm a person that uses leg warmers almost every day. I go on an early morning walk every day, and they're so handy to wear because a lot of times, especially now that I am pregnant, all I wear are stretch pants. Those are the only types of pants I wear, are stretch pants. And they're not the warmest things in the world. So when I go on an early morning walk, I always put leg warmers on under my boots and over my socks as an extra layer. And the only 2 pairs of leg warmers that I have are some like horrible pair from Target that I've had for like 15 years. So I've always wanted to knit myself a pair of leg warmers, and I never have, and I'm really excited that I am right now. So this pattern is called, and forgive me if I mispronounce this because I do not know how to pronounce it, but I think it's called Bon de Jambe. That's what I'm going with, and I'm putting it down here. But the Bon de Jambe leg warmers by Caitlin of Wool Jewel, and they are awesome. So here they are so far. I don't have much to show you yet, but that's what I got right now. So far it's just a wee little 2x2 cuff. I'm knitting these on fingering weight yarn, size 1 Hiya sharp needles. Again, I'm doing magic loop, and the idea behind these leg warmers is that you use 2 yarns and you stripe them throughout the whole leg warmers. So I am using, let me get the tags because I forget kind of what they're both called. Let's see. So the self-striping that I'm using is Regia Etude Color in the colorway 04889. It's this one. It's Regia. It's Regia. So this is the self-striping that I'm using, and I'm going to be striping this with a tonal. And now it's actually really perfect because Caitlin actually sent me this yarn in a swap that we did with each other straight from Germany. So I'm really excited to be using this in this pattern. And then the tonal that I'm striping that with is this, which is Dharma Dye Works 100% Superwash BFL, fingering in the, I can't read the colorway name. She actually, I'm pretty sure, does not dye anymore. I haven't been able to find her shop on the internet anymore. But I think it's the Femme Lore colorway maybe. But here's the tag for Dharma Dye Works. I won this skein in a giveaway that was done on the Jinx Yarns podcast a pretty long time ago. So I've had this in my stash for a pretty long time, and it's a really pretty copper tonal, and it's a really pretty thin sock weight yarn, and I thought it looked really, really good with this Regia yarn. So I am striping these two together, and that's what I have so far, and I'm really excited about it. So that is my second project that I've got going on right now. There is a lot of 2x2 ribbing in my future for this one, so that is awesome. And I really do enjoy using, oh my gosh, my yarn is all tangled in my zipper. I'm using this stupid bag, and anyway. I love using more than one yarn in a project. Switching up colors for me keeps a project really interesting. I do also love using just a single color in any given project, but for whatever reason, just the simple addition of a second colorway in a project always kind of like keeps me a little more excited about it. So I'm really excited about that. It's nice too because both of these yarns are a really similar construction, because you know, sock weight yarn can be pretty varied depending on the base. So it can be thicker or thinner, the construction of the yarn, be it a 2-ply or a 4-ply, or a little more puffy or a little more tightly plied, you know what I mean? There's lots of variations in fingering weight yarn, and these two yarns are pretty dang similar, so that's really nice too. And here is the Regia tag, in case you're curious. And I do really love Regia yarns. I've used their yarns once before in a sock. I knit an Ardeen Carlos sock a couple years ago. And it's amazing. I love those socks. So I am really excited about these leg warmers. I cannot wait to work on them more. And on to a blanket. I am so close to being done with my baby blanket, which is my second project I'm knitting for my baby. It is living in my Ultimate Fat Squirrel project bag. This is my favorite project bag ever, and you probably see it every single week because it's always in use. So I am knitting the Spiral Blanket of Awesome, which is an amazingly good pattern. It's a free pattern. I will link to it in the show notes. The yarn that I'm using is Miss Babs Kaweah, which is this 100% superwash merino DK yarn. This is cake 3 out of 3, so I'm on my last cake. And here's what she looks like. She is a lot bigger than last week, but it looks exactly the same because it's on the same size needles. So that's what we've got. You can definitely tell there's a difference in skeins. Each of the 3 skeins looked completely different. They're all the deep sea jellyfish colorway, but Miss Babs is pretty upfront about this, that all of their skeins are pretty much going to be different. So they even say, like, if you want a skein of a particular colorway that like has mostly this color in it or this color in it or whatever, let them know and they'll match it. But they were all pretty different, the ones that I had. So I started off with the first cake, which was my favorite. And then I moved on to my second favorite cake, which is this one. You can see it's a lot darker. And then the third one I just started about 2 rounds back is this one. This was my least favorite because it has the most orange in it. And kind of the idea behind the deep sea jellyfish colorway is it's got purples, pinks, oranges, grays, and I would say that's kind of the color range. And the first skein had a lot more purples and pinks. This one had a lot more oranges. So pretty much what I did is I knit the body of this blanket, which is just a big circle. As you can see, there's a spiral going throughout it. Those are the increases, and it just gets to be a bigger and bigger circle as you go. And so I used the first 2 full skeins as the body. Once I got to the third skein, I started doing the border, and I'm doing the border right now. And the border is kind of like, I want to say like a pleated ruffle border, and you make it by purling. So if you can see, this has all been stockinette, and I just started some purls here. And pretty much what you do, I'm not going to explain it. If you're interested, you can go look at it. But it kind of creates pleats which get ruffly by doing a purl, alternate with knit, and then you increase on the knits, and it makes the purls go behind the knits. I know that totally doesn't make sense, right? Just check it out. It's a really, really cool border, and I really like it. So I have a lot more stitches that are going to go on my needles. It's basically a bunch of increases. These last, like, I think it's like 10 or 15 or maybe 20 rounds. That's all the border. You increase like a ton, and then you bind off. So I do wish I had a bigger cable. I'm on the 40-inch cable right now of my Hiya interchangeables. I'm using a size 6 needle. And unfortunately, I don't have a cable connector, which would be super handy because then I could just put 2 cables together and make a bigger cable needle. But oh well. So my stitches are super scrunched. It is making it a little tiny bit annoying to work on because I'm constantly like scooting stitches, and okay, so I don't know if you remember, but I used to have this project on my Luca needles, size 6, 40-inch cable, but I broke them. This was only, I think, the first project maybe I've used them on, and I totally broke them. And it's just because I had too many stitches on the needles, and I was like scrunching so much and like yanking, and like they snapped. So that was a bummer. So I switched them to my Hiyas, and I'm trying to be really careful about not yanking and pulling and scrunching too hard. because that can happen. So this is going to get a lot bigger really quickly, and then I will be done pretty soon. I left myself this whole skein for the border. I don't think I'll use it all, but I wanted to be safe and not run out of yarn and have like I wanted to make sure I had a substantial ruffle, you know what I mean? I didn't want my ruffle to come up short. So I've got plenty for the border, and I'm almost done with this thing, and I'm really excited. And of course, living on here is my Coochie Kopi Progress Keeper, which is by Charmed and Dangerous on Etsy. And that has been super fun. I also knit on this a lot when I was down south at Stitches. Really great car knitting. And my last work in progress is living in my other Fat Squirrel project bag, because they're all Fat Squirrel project bags. This is my, what are you called? It's my, it's my Salted Teak sweater called something that I have apparently forgotten. Anyway, I'll start talking about it and then I'll remember. So I have gotten pretty far on this. I am up doing the yoke right now. This is a pullover, a bottom-up pullover, and I am using Harrisville Designs Highland yarn, which looks like this in tag form. And this is a 100% wool, woolen spun two-ply yarn, and I'm in love with it. So these are my colors. This dark gray is the main body color, and this is the charcoal colorway. This is Silver Mist, and this is Plum, and I really adore this yarn so much. It's very woolly. It's gorgeous. It's very sticky. I love it. It's very light. So, as I showed you before, I am in the yoke section. So it was a bottom-up pullover. I finished the body. I knit both sleeves. And I've attached everything. I started doing the raglan decreases down here. And I am about halfway through the yoke. So I'm so into it. It's so fun. And this purple is just my favorite. And I think it looks really, really good. And I'm super into it. I am knitting this on size 7s, my High Sharp interchangeable set. And I cannot wait to have this thing off the needles. I can't wait to wear it. What is this thing called? It's the Stroker. This is the Stroker pullover by Isolde Teague, and it's an amazingly great and simple bottom-up yoked sweater pattern. It's really great, and I love it. It's so simple as opposed to the teeny baby sweater that I knit by her. Not complicated at all. Really simple, really great. It's great so far. I love it. I think it's going to fit really well. So this has been super fun to work on. I've been loving the color work. I will show you my floats because that's a thing, right? You want to see those floats, don't you? It's so much fun. It's been all just stockinette in this really beautiful yarn that I adore. And then I get to go up to this color work, which is so fun to work on with this type of yarn because it's really thick and pretty sticky, and it just feels really good using this yarn for color work. I love it. So I cannot wait to be done with this thing because I cannot wait to wear it. I bet if I was wearing this today, I'd be super warm. And living on here is my Sugar Tots, a narwhal with the sparkly horn. I saw narwhal stuffed animal this weekend. I really wanted to buy it, but I didn't. Anyway, I'll tell you about that later. So that's pretty much it with this one. It's so close to being done, and I can't wait to wear it. So I have so many more sweaters on my mind right now too, that I really want to finish this so that I can cast on the next one, because as I have told you before, I have this weird aversion to having 2 sweaters on the needles at the same time. I have to finish this one before I can start my next one, and I'm struggling so hard to decide what my next one's going to be. I had already decided what my next one was going to be, and then I went to Stitches West and bought yarn, and now I don't know anymore. So that is my stroker, and I love it. I am having so much fun with it. I can't wait to finish it. Okay. That is everything for what I've been working on. I've done a lot of card knitting, a lot of hotel knitting, which has been super fun. So before I move on to favorites and talk about Stitches West, I will tell you there is going to be no shop update this week. There is still some yarn in the shop, so check it out if you're interested. That is at moonstonedyeworks.com or Moonstone Dyeworks on Etsy. But I did not do any shop dyeing these past couple weeks, mostly because I was gone all last weekend at Stitches West, and weekends are my dye time. So we're skipping this shop update, but in 2 weeks we will have another one, and it's going to be pretty epic. So that's shop update. I went on such a fun little weekend vacation last weekend. My husband and I drove down to Monterey, which is, I think, like a 7-hour drive. It's like 7 hours south of where we are. So we got in the car really early on Friday morning and drove to Monterey and got there pretty late, but you know, it was fun. We just kind of walked around the downtown area a little bit, had some dinner, had a really good time, and then the next morning, Saturday morning, we went to the Monterey Bay Aquarium, which was the whole reason why we went there. And it was pretty amazing. It was really, really good. Saturday morning was actually really great. We woke up and found this French bakery. I think it was called like the Paris Bakery or something like that. And we went and had breakfast there, which was coffee, and I had a bear claw, and it was amazingly good. So good. I loved it. And then we went to the Monterey Bay Aquarium and saw a bunch of freaking cool stuff. I apparently have been to the Monterey Bay Aquarium before. I think when I was around 10. For some reason, I do not remember it at all. And he had never been there before. So it was a really, really good time. Tons of fishes. And my favorite parts were the octopuses, the jellyfish, and they had a really small reptile area with some snakes and stuff like that. And I completely adore reptiles. I mean, I love sea life, and I'm an animal person. I love animals. If you're an animal, I'm in love with you. But I have a real thing for reptiles. I love lizards. I love snakes. I love them. And they had the freaking cutest reptiles there. It was a really small section though. I didn't even know it was there. But they had some amazing jellyfish there. My favorite jellyfish that I saw were the moon jellies. They were so cool. They were, I don't know, they were super cool. And I'm obsessed with moon jellies now, so expect a colorway. They had a giant octopus, which was pretty intense to watch. We just stood at its tank for like 10 minutes watching it do stuff, and it was like looking at us. Really cool. There were a bunch of feedings that they did, so we got like the text alerts. Every time they would feed something, we would know, and we'd just go watch them feed it. So that was fun. We spent pretty much all morning and into the early afternoon at the aquarium. It was a really good time, and I really liked it. One of the neatest parts, in my opinion, was they had an albatross that's kind of a resident there. It's an injured albatross that they nurse back to health, and it won't survive in the wild, so they keep it there. And they have one of like the events that they do throughout the day is, I think it's called like the albatross experience, and so we went to that, and they wheeled out this albatross that they have for everyone to look at, and she talked a little bit about the albatross and its story, and it seemed really fine with everything. I'm an animal lover. Things like aquariums and zoos I have mixed feelings about, kind of depending on their deal, you know what I mean? But this albatross seemed really loved and cared for, and it didn't do anything it didn't want to do. It didn't even really do anything. It just sat there, and it was really interesting because it was looking at people in the audience. Like, it was just like a bunch of people kind of sitting around it, and it was like looking at people individually. It was really crazy. But the thing that I thought was kind of hilarious about it, and I really liked, is that they kind of made it sound like it was like, come see this albatross. Like, it's going to do things. It's going to be great and fun. And it was just an excuse, I think, to get people to go to it so that they could give these people a talk about like the environment and conservation and using less plastic and stuff like that. And I thought that was genius and hilarious, because I feel like we all kind of got tricked into thinking this like crazy animal show was going to happen, and it was just like a lecture about conservation. And the bird didn't even do anything. He just sat there like, I'm just here. You can look at me. I'm cool. It was a really cool looking bird. I'm also a birder, so it was very cool. But honestly, that was kind of my favorite part. I thought that was really tricky and awesome, and I loved it because I'm into that kind of stuff, and I think them kind of tricking people into listening to their spiel about it, I was into it. So anyway, the aquarium was super fun, and then the next day we went to Santa Clara, California, where Stitches was being held. Stitches West is an amazing fiber convention that happens all over the U.S., the Stitches franchise. And it went all weekend. It was going from Friday to Sunday, and I was only there on Sunday morning at the marketplace, but it was so much fun. I loved it. I've gone to Stitches quite a few times in the past, and I only ever go to the marketplace. I've never actually gone to the full event, but I love it. It's so much fun, and you get to see so much amazing yarn and fiber in person. You get to meet the people behind that yarn, and it's such a good time. I had such a good time. So I went, I got there right when it opened. My husband dropped me off and then went and did his own thing. He bought paint for a nursery. And I just kind of spent a few hours walking around. I did kind of the thing that I generally do. Usually what I do at Stitches, my strategy, is I walk in the front door and I book it all the way to the very back corner. And then I go from row to row systematically up and down every single row. And I look at all the booths and I don't buy anything. And then once I do that, I go back and I buy everything I want to buy. And that worked great. I had a budget. I had like a certain amount of cash that I brought with me, and I was like, this is all I'm going to spend. And I stuck to it. I was really proud of myself, but there was so much more yarn that I wish I could have bought, that I wanted to buy so bad. There was a ton of stuff that I wanted that I passed up, but I really like what I got. So I am going to show you what I bought at Stitches. So one of the booths that I knew I really wanted to check out was the Fiber Collective, and they are a booth. They're a collective that showcases indie dyed yarns, and they had amazing dyers at the booth this year, and oh my god, I wanted to buy everything. I wanted to buy like one from everything there, but I restricted myself, and I amazingly came away from the entire event with only 2 single skeins of hand-dyed yarn, and they were both from that booth. I was so excited about what they had. So the first thing I saw and just immediate was like, yep, this is coming home with me, was, I'm stuck in my shawl, you guys. Cat Sandwich. I love Cat Sandwich fibers, and I have always wanted to try her yarn, and this will be my first time trying it. This is the first skein of hers that I will have owned, and I'm really, really stoked about it. This is the Trusty Base, which is Superwash Merino and Nylon. It's a Saltwater Taffy 2.0 colorway. And look at this stuff, you guys. Isn't that amazing? Look at that. That's like my dream speckle right there. I love it so much. It's like everything I love about pastels mixed with neons. It's like, I don't know. It's like bad unicorn princess or something like that. Anyway, I really, really love this skein. And it's one of those ones that I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but I'm really happy to have it. I love it so much. So this was one of the first things that I got. And at that same booth, I picked up another indie dyer that I've always wanted to try and I adore. And I'm so happy to have a skein of her yarn now. And this is Knox Yarn. And her logo's amazing. Her yarn's amazing. And I love this skein so much. So this is the one I got. And this is Mars Sock, which is Superwash Merino and Nylon. And the color is Bifrost, which is the rainbow in mythology that connects the god worlds to our world, something like that. I don't know, but it's so. This is this amazing skein. Again, it's really awesome pastels mixed with neons. So totally my thing. And I love it so much. I'm really happy to have a skein of Knox Yarns. I cannot wait to use it. She's gonna marinate in my stash, I'm sure, for a little while too. And I'll figure it out. Look at that, isn't it cool? I love it. So that's what I got from the Fiber Collective. And the only other things I got are sweaters quantities, which I'm just crazy excited about. Okay, so I went to the Barrett Wool booth and I met Susan B. Anderson and I made a total dork out of myself because I was really excited to meet her. And I was just like, I kind of like mellowly fangirled on her, mostly just by like, I was trying to say things and I wasn't really saying anything. I was just like staring at her like, it was stupid, but it was really nice meeting her. She is such a gracious and kind and sweet person, exactly how she seems like on her podcast and stuff. She was so nice. And I came home with some home. So her yarn company is the Barrett Wool Company. And this base that I got, which is worsted weight, is called Home. And it's 100% American wool. And this is the Folkstone colorway. And it's gray, because I love gray sweaters. So I got 4 skeins of this. And I dilly-dallied for so long trying to decide what to actually get. And I ended up getting these. And I'm really happy I did. This is really, really, really pretty worsted weight, worsted spun yarn. It's gorgeous. And pretty much I was wavering between this and her woolen spun fingering weight yarn. I don't know what that one's called, I forget. But it was really gorgeous. And so she had a bunch of colorways of this, and she only had left, because I went on the Sunday, I went on the last day. The woolen spun fingering weight that she only had 1 colorway left, and it was this really nice kind of, I call it, to me, it's like an army green, which could have worked really well for me because greens on redheads is a good combination, but anything that reminds me too much of army green, I really like eke away from because I just don't like army green. And it wasn't necessarily an army green. It was more of like a, I don't know what to call it. I want to say kind of like a mossy green. But so I stood there with these 4 skeins in my hand and those 2 skeins in my other hand. Like, which one do I get? And I finally decided on this because I just, for one, I want worsted weight. I want to make a worsted weight sweater again. And I really love the color. And I knew I wanted to make a sweater with it. I got 4 skeins. I wish I would have got 5. But that's okay. I can buy another one online if I want to. I think what I want to make out of this yarn is the... It's a sweater pattern by Hannah Fettig, and it's a set and sleeve cardigan. And it's from her Home and Away collection, and I knew I kind of wanted to make that sweater with this yarn, and I couldn't think of the name of it at that time to look it up to see how much yardage I needed, so I just guessed. And I knew in the past that I've purchased 5 skeins of worsted weight for a sweater and never broke into the 5th skein and only needed 4, so I bought 4 skeins because I'm kind of obsessed with not having too much yarn. I am one of those people that will buy exactly enough and hope that I have enough rather than buy the extra skein and have extra, because I'm a tightwad like that. Not only in terms of money, but in terms of resources. I don't like to have leftovers. So I got 4 skeins. According to the yardage in the pattern, I will need a 5th skein. And that is okay. I think I'm going to start knitting it and see how far I get, because like I've said in the past, oftentimes I use less than what the pattern calls for. So I'm going to see how far I get with these. If I need that 5th skein, I'm going to buy it online, and it will probably look slightly different than these colorway skeins, but the last skein in that pattern is used to do the collar. So if my last collar skein is slightly different than the rest, I really don't care. So that's my plan with this. I'm really, really happy that this is what I chose because I really like it. And I have wanted to knit that sweater for a long time, and I think this is going to be perfect for it. So I still can't remember what it's called, but I already put it on the screen, so you know what it's called. But this was my next purchase that I was really happy with, and her booth was really cool too. Barrett Wool Company is pretty cool, the yarn that they have. They also had a bunch of stuff from Never Not Knitting, which was a podcast. I'm not sure if she still records the podcast anymore, but she's a pattern designer, and she also, in the past couple years, I want to say, opened up a little knitting shop somewhere on the California coast that I have not been to yet. And she sells this jewelry that incorporates stitch markers and stuff into it. And so there was a little Never Not Knitting setup with that jewelry, which is from another company. But anyway, they had a bunch of that there, and it was really gorgeous too. But that was a really cool booth, and it was amazing meeting Susan B. Anderson. She's so cool. I wish we were friends. Anyway, I love this yarn. I'm really happy I got it. And then the other yarn that I got was from, I can't remember the name of the booth, but it was really cool. It was another one of these booths that had like a collection of indie dyers in it. It's where junk yarn was being featured, and I got to peruse the junk yarn section for a little bit, and it was amazing. I got to meet Kemper from Junk Yarn and her husband, which kind of, again, I kind of dorkily fangirled over a little bit, and I was just like, I know you, I'm cool. It was amazing meeting her. She's such a nice person, and her yarn is freaking gorgeous. But at that booth, they had a few other indie dyers as well, which were also really, really cool. But they also had O-Wool, which is a yarn that I've been wanting to try for a very long time. And I sat in front of the O-Wool section for like 10 minutes and decided on these 3 skeins, which, oh my goodness, I just love them so much. So this is the O-Wool O-Wash fingering, and this is really, really cool yarn because it is merino. It's certified organic merino. It's 100% merino, and it's a 2-ply, It's really nice and bouncy and lofty, and it is washable, but it's not made in the traditional superwash process. It is some other super cool newfangled superwash process that does not use chemicals, and I don't typically put my knitwear in the washing machine anyway, but it's still really cool. It's a very cool concept, and I love that they do it. And this colorway, you guys, heck freaking yeah. Purple gray. And this is Pearly Muscle. This is the Pearly Muscle colorway. And I decided I wanted a sweater quantity of this because it's gorgeous. So I picked out 3 skeins. And I was like, this is going to be good. This is going to be good for a fingering and weight sweater for me. And guess what? Lady at the booth walks up behind me and she's like, oh, you're thinking of getting those 3 skeins? Did you know we're having a sale right now where you buy 3 skeins, get 1 free? I was like, shut up. So I got these 3 skeins that I was already going to get, and then she told me I could pick out a whole nother skein for free. So I spent like another 5 minutes picking out which skein I wanted, and I decided on this. Yeah. More purple gray, please. Yes, thank you. So this is the Awash worsted. Same, well, it's pretty different. It's worsted weight, but it's the same washable process, whatever. And this colorway is Appalachian stone. And it's really pretty. It's a dark gray, and what may not be coming across on the screen is that it's a dark gray with a hint of purple. It looks a little blue, but it's a little purple in real life. And it feels amazing. Oh God. See, I feel like I feel these 2 yarns, this O wool, and I think of Quince & Co. That's kind of what this wool reminds me of. It feels so good. I love it. And this is also 100% certified organic merino. And I don't know what I'm going to do with this, but I had 1 more skein to get something with, and all of their colors are really gorgeous. They're all solids though, but the color palette is amazing. And I don't typically buy solid skein, single skein yarns. I'll do, my preference is tonals, but for sweaters quantities, I'm totally down with solids. But I thought if I was getting a single skein of a solid color, I should get worsted weight and do something for my baby. So I'm thinking maybe this is going to be a baby knit, but I'm not sure. Maybe it'll be a hat. But so that was super bitchin'. I just got a skein yarn for free. I was so excited. But I am really excited about whatever sweater this is going to become. I have been browsing Ravelry, going through my queue, and going through the fingering weight sweater pattern search on Ravelry, and trying to figure out what I want to do with this. And I have a bunch of ideas, and now I've got like 3 sweaters that I want to knit next instead of just the one that I knew I wanted to knit before. So I don't know what I'm going to do. I got some time to think about it because I'm still not done with my current sweater. But as soon as I'm done with that, I'm either casting this on, the Barrett Wool Company on, or this other sweater that I already had in mind for my next one. I don't know which one I'm going to do yet, but oh, I love this so much. So the theme of stitches this year was gray. Was gray and purple. I looked down, my husband picked me up after stitches, and we drove home, and I had my bag full of stuff at my feet, and I looked down and I was just like, damn, everything I got was either purple or gray. And he's like, yeah, that sounds right. So that's what I got. That's what I got at Stitches. I am really happy with my purchases. I usually am. I usually come away from Stitches being really, really satisfied with what I bought. And I really am this year. I restricted myself to 2 single skeins of hand-dyed yarn, and I love them. And I got 2 really awesome sweater quantities. I love them. I cannot wait to use them. So it was a success, I would say. It was so much fun just walking around Stitches and seeing everybody. I did get to meet some viewers. If you were one of the people that came up to me to say hi, thank you so much. It made my day. Talking to you guys, it was so much fun. I loved meeting you. It seriously just like made my freaking day. So I got to meet some viewers. I got to meet some people that I consider to be like famous people, and it was really great. It was probably the best Stitches I've ever gone to socially, because all the past Stitches that I've been to, I've never known anybody, so I would go and shop and leave and never like have a conversation with anybody. But I got to actually talk to and hang out with people this time, and it was so much fun. It was different and it was better. So thank you for spending any time with me if you did at Stitches. I really had a great time. And yeah, so that was my Stitches fun. After that, we drove home straight from the Stitches market, and I got home Sunday night. We made dinner and ate it, and I went to sleep, and then I went to work the next morning. Back to normal life. But now it's the weekend again, and I'm so excited. I'm going to do a ton of knitting. I am going to do a ton of dyeing this weekend. I have plans to be crazy busy at the dye pots this weekend. Yeah, and it's going to be awesome. Okay, so that is where I am going to leave you this week. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for supporting my channel. If you have not subscribed yet, please do so to be kept up to date on future episodes. If you happen to like the episode, feel free to give it a thumbs up. Go join the Ravelry group. Go join the Kid Along if you have a kid or a baby in your life that you feel like you want to knit for or make something for. Do it. Post your progress in the threads. I would love to see. There's also a hashtag on Instagram, which is #KidAlong. And congratulations again to the winners of the patterned sock cal. Get in contact with me because I want to send your prizes out to you. And happy weekend. Have a happy week. I will see you guys in a couple of weeks. Have fun and stay awesome. Bye, guys.